Hey, Michaela Light from the CF Live podcast here. I'm here with Rakshith, Naresh, and we're both at the Adobe CF Summit India 2019, and he's just given an amazing general session all about CF 2020. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
Yes, had a packed room here, and the whole event actually was sold out, so even though it was free, but I mean, they had more people wanted to come than they had space, so amazing. Anyway, you were talking about some of the new cool stuff in CF 2020 and very impressed by what you were talking about. What are just tell us quickly, what are the highlights coming in CF 2020?
Sure. I can just quickly touch upon the vision so that everybody gets a good understanding of what 2020 is all about. So the whole idea for 2020 and the version after is going to be on cloud native microservice applications. So the keyword there is clearly cloud and microservices. So for microservices to happen, so nobody builds monolithic applications these days, at least the newer applications, everybody would want to build microservice applications. What I mean by that is you no longer have a giant monolithic application. Your application itself is split into tiny pieces, and each of them can scale and interact with each other. So by 2022, a majority of the new applications will have a microservice architecture. So that's the reality in front of us. So to get towards that, what we're doing in 2020 is the entire ColdFusion engine itself is being broken down into tiny pieces, tiny modules. So let's say your microservice kind of makes use of only the PDF module. You're not doing anything to do with, let's say, CF mail or scheduled task or anything like that. You're just using the PDF conversions, let's say HTML to PDF conversion. So all you have to do is just get the tiny, really tiny ColdFusion runtime, which will be less than 50 MB. And
50 MB?
Yes.
Wait, Rakshith, but the current runtime on CF 2018 is a gig.
Yes,
how can you squeeze it?
It's going to be, it's going to be really, really low going forward. So yes, that's a great question you asked. So what we're doing is we are breaking it up into pieces. That's how we're getting the size reduction. And you can only pick and choose. You can pick and choose the stuff that you really need in your application. So that's why the reduction in the installer size. So the bare bone installer will just be a zip-based installer that will just have the ColdFusion runtime. And that's why there's huge reduction in size. And our engineers have already made a significant progress, like what I spoke about in my session. So from a gig, it's down to 300 MB now.
Already?
Yes.
Wow.
Already. We're not even in alpha. We don't even have the pre-release yet. So we will only bring it down even further going forward. So all this is for microservices, so that your service is actually tiny, and the runtime on which you run, which is ColdFusion, is also super tiny. So that's the whole idea of microservices.
That is great. So everyone listening, if you're not doing microservices yet, you will be next year or the year after. And CF 2020 is the way to do it and make it easy.
Absolutely.
So I'd like to think of this as is the difference between you go to a buffet and you can pick out just the foods you want versus you go to a restaurant and they dump all the food on the plate, everything for you.
That's a great analogy.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So
that's what it is.
ColdFusion's going on a diet here with these microservices.
That's right. And also, too, we don't want you to go figure out what modules you need. So we are coming up with utilities that will scan your code and figure out what modules you need.
Wow.
So you don't have to go say that, okay, I need only PDF and start experimenting with that. We will have utilities that can pick and choose the modules and build your own runtime for your application. So that's the whole idea.
So you can build the most compact runtime for this. So when you're running in the cloud, you're running in Docker, you don't want a slow runtime. You want it to start up really quick.
Absolutely.
And this will let you do that.
Yeah, and also think about this. It's all about CI/CD these days, right? So you would want to continuously integrate and continuously deliver. So that is what this will enable. So let's say you actually check in something to do with PDFs onto your source code repository. So let's say the PDF is not even present in your tiny runtime. So what this will do is as soon as you check in, you can get your CI/CD pipeline going, and the scan utility that we have will scan your entire application code. It will figure out that you need a PDF module now, and it will be automatically downloaded.
Wow.
Runtime will get updated, and you have this brand new runtime that has this PDF module as an addition. So everything is fully automated, and you can go and deliver that as frequently as possible.
That is great, making it easy for ColdFusion developers as always.
Absolutely.
And if you're in development mode, do you still have to go through this, or can it just automatically figure it out for you?
I think that's a great question again. So we are going a step beyond this as well. So during development time, we don't even want you to go figure out the modules. We want to make it super transparent to you. So during development time, if you actually hit a URL. So the example that I spoke about in my session was the scheduler CFM. So let's say you're making use of the CF schedule tag or the scheduler functionality. So as soon as you hit the URL, the particular module will get downloaded from the server and your runtime will be updated automatically without the developer having to go fetch the module, update the runtime. Everything will be absolutely seamless during development time. So we are doing that as well.
And what kind of load times are you getting on the new version of ColdFusion 2020?
So that's a great question. So because of this, the nimble runtime, so the load times will also be, there'll be a drastic reduction in the load time.
I heard someone say 8 seconds or less already.
Absolutely. So there are two things there. One is the load time for your page, and the other is the server startup time.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, server startup time.
Great.
When you...
So the server startup time, so generally, I think the ColdFusion runtime today takes about 30 seconds or more than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
The engineers have already brought it down to under 8 seconds, and that's not where we're stopping. So we will significantly better that as well. So once we get into alpha, you will notice the startup time being really, really low.
Great. Well, folks interested in trying out the alpha, I'll put the link down there for you to apply and fill out a survey to get into the alpha. It's a free alpha open to anyone, I believe. Is that true?
Yes, that's true. So yes, I think that it's a great point you mentioned. So there's a survey link available. That's the way for you to get into alpha. Give us your details and we will add you into the alpha program. So 2020, as I said, is going to be significantly different. So it'll be interesting for you to play and get some early access, and so that you get used to the future, which is ColdFusion for the next decade.